I recently had an unexpected beginning of summer tummy bug, and it made me realize that I keep some things on hand for those unexpected kind of illnesses that might be some great tips to share with you guys. So that is why we are doing this video today. If you're just meeting me, my name is 𝐂𝐎𝐋𝐿, and this is the 𝐋𝐈𝐍𝐄𝐂𝐓 Legacy, where I'm normally teaching you how to save money on groceries, but also to try to avoid some of those unexpected trips to the store. So having some of those things at home at all times that you need for your family if there is an unexpected tummy bug or illness ends up helping you save so much money, not making those unexpected, in a rush, panicked trips to the store. I remember being a newly married mom with littles at the house, and we all got the tummy bug at the same time. And our nearest friends were over an hour away, so we didn't want to bother them. And we waited a whole 24 hours before we said that we needed some help. So we had a toddler, a baby. We were both sick, and we desperately needed some supplies refilled at our house. And it was way before the days of having Instacart or delivery. That incident over 20 years ago made me realize that I always want to have things on hand that we need. But we've also dealt with some major financial crises over the years. So making sure that we had the money to buy what we needed and have it at the house all the time was really important too. So it seems like sometimes those unexpected illnesses happen right when you're waiting for payday or you're worried about something in your checking account. And this way, learning some of these tricks, you can have the things that you need at your house all the time. I normally say we are an 80-20 family. 80% of the time, I'm trying to make the best organic or whole foods choices that we can, and 20% of the time, it is okay for us. But we are also an allergy family, and we deal with some health complications. So normally the first priority that I'm worried about are ingredients that are safe for my family and trying to choose the best ingredients for us. We are going to focus on some of those things that we seem to deal with during the summertime, whether it is being out in the heat too much or long car rides or just overdoing activities. And it could be a tummy bug, but these are some of the things that I keep on hand to make sure that we're prepared. Okay, my number one tip for this is getting over-the-counter medicine right after you have just been sick. So I don't wait until I am sick or somebody in my household is sick. I always have the over-the-counter medicine that we need. So as soon as we are over an illness, I am checking the stock of what we have, checking for empty boxes or low boxes, and making sure that I have at least 72 hours worth of all the different kinds of over-the-counter medicines that we need. Now, most of these that are the dry, like capsule kind of things, will last about 3 years after they're packaged, and there's also an extended shelf life of about another 3 years after that. So I can make sure that I can buy something in bulk and have it here all of the time, and it is going to stay effective for a long time. Now, things that are capsules or liquids, you have to watch those Best By dates a little bit closer. But again, we seem to have an illness every year or two, and we are going through those things. I think it is so important to make sure that you're checking what you have in your medicine cabinet and keeping them rotated and not overbuying, but making sure that you have what you need for at least 72 hours in an emergency. A lot of my over-the-counter type items that I get now, I actually get from Amazon, and I have reminders set. So in the fall, I make sure that I double check to make sure that I have any like cold stuff. And then every time we have an illness, I'm also double checking those stocks. But I like being able to buy it online where I can check the price and check the ingredients and make sure it is exactly what I want to be bringing in for my family. Some of those over-the-counter medicines that I'm making sure we always have on hand is something for pain and fever, something for nausea, something for flu-like symptoms, and then things for cold-like symptoms. I try to watch cough syrups a little bit extra and watch those expiration dates on those because those don't last as long. I also make sure that I keep different ginger chews and drops on hand. I keep some of these in my purse or in the car also, because it seems like some of those tummy queasy feelings happen when Mike has the cruise control on. Again, this is just an example of things that I keep on hand. Make sure that you are making your list for things that your family needs to keep on hand. Another thing to worry about during the summertime is hydration and making sure that you're not dehydrated. I always keep some liquid IV packets, and we also have some Relight packets that I get too that I just add to water. These are also perfect to keep in our go bags, in my purse, in the car, and we have them at the house. But that way, instead of having Gatorade or another sports drink that has additives and coloring, that way, instead of getting a sports drink that has added dyes and other things that I don't want, I'm able to have these packages that I can just add to water and make sure that we're getting rehydrated. And there are kid-friendly versions of these different kind of packets too. So I'm gonna put some of my favorite ones on our Amazon storefront, and you can check those out. That link will be in the description. I am diabetic, so keeping my protein levels up higher is really important for me, especially when I'm not eating very much. So I always make sure that I keep some protein drinks here at the house. These are actually some higher ones that have 42 grams of protein in them. So it's not something that I'm drinking all of the time, but I do keep them for emergencies. I don't keep them in the car during the summertime. I take them with me in the car whenever I go on a car trip to make sure that I have extra protein and I'm not worried about my blood sugars getting too low. Something else that I always have at home is homemade bone broth. I had surgery a couple years ago and I had to drink a liquid diet for over 2 weeks, and I found out how horrible it was sipping store-bought bone broth. So since then, I make sure that I always have homemade bone broth here at the house. I have a pressure canner, so I can it to make it shelf stable, but I also have some in the freezer. It is so easy to make it and it's practically free. I have some videos here on our YouTube channel if you'd like to learn more. And if you're trying to get your kiddos to drink a little bit more broth, make them some ramen, which is really easy to get them to eat the noodles. We get the Lotus, a brand of ramen noodles that only have a couple ingredients in it and no additives, and then we add homemade bone broth to it. But it's a great way to encourage your kids to do it, and you can also make hot chocolate out of bone broth. We have a video on that also here on the YouTube channel. Something else that really helps me if I'm having some tummy issues is to have something carbonated in the house. I try to keep some Olipop's on hand. Sometimes you can find their ginger ale brand, which is my favorite. About once a year, I will buy a 12-pack of ginger ale and make sure that we always have it. And then I can just put 1 or 2 in the refrigerator, so we always have a cold one on hand if we have a tummy issue. But that carbonation seems like it helps to settle my stomach sometimes. So this is kind of funny. I just ran and grabbed this off of Mike's desk. He had it as a snack, but we also always have some oranges on hand. I like that it gives a vitamin C boost, but they also last a really long time in your refrigerator. But this, if you don't know what this is, you are probably not Gen X or older. It is an orange peeler that is super easy to peel your oranges, and we were kind of laughing about this because our content team didn't know what this was, and if anybody has ever been to a Tupperware party, you know how important this is. So what color was yours if you had one? And if you want one, it's in our Amazon storefront. Some of those other staples that I make sure that we always have is we normally have some crackers on hand, and if you stow those in a glass jar with a metal lid, they will stay completely airtight and also fresh for about 6 months to a year. So you don't have to worry about opening up a container of crackers and having them go stale. And then whenever I'm making rice, I always make sure that I make a little bit extra and I put that in the freezer also, so I can reheat that really easily, and it breaks down the starches in it so it doesn't affect my glucose as much. Applesauce is something else that we normally have it in our pantry or our refrigerator. I have a video on how to make homemade applesauce if you're interested. And one of the staples we used to have all of the time was having Otter Pops at the house in case we needed those. But since we're avoiding artificial dyes now, I found some different ones that are on Amazon that you can get that have better ingredients in them. Something else that we always have is some easy meals in the house, especially if mama is sick and doesn't want to cook. We post all of the freezer videos that I make and meals so you can see different things that we're rotating out of the freezer or batch cooking, that we have easy meals for a busy night. But our go-to, if it isn't coming out of the freezer, is quesadillas. So having some of those easy things that you can do no matter how you're feeling and can feed the rest of the family is really important. And speaking of taking care of mama, I so believe in taking baths, and I use either magnesium or Epsom salt in my bath every single day. I have reflective sympathetic dystrophy, so I'm always dealing with some inflammation and pain issues, and this is something that really helps me manage, but especially if I'm dealing with something like a tummy bug, I need to take some extra time for some self-care. I hope some of these tips help brainstorm some ideas for you that's good for your family, and that you have a happy and healthy summer too.